Just something about that high school marching band feel, too, playing the national anthem, too. As the Star Spangled Banner has been played, we're getting ready for opening kickoff. Again, Ty Bartell, Mike Ackelson, YSNLive.com with your playoff coverage. Hopefully you got your digital ticket. This isn't the only game you have access to. We got plenty on the docket tonight.
Oh, my gosh, do we have plenty. And for $9.99, you can't beat it
No.
because you can watch your favorite team, but if you want to flip around other games, if you see they're interesting, you absolutely can go to it.
Multiple teams from multiple divisions, too. Plenty of teams that are going to be vying for a state championship this year. Real quickly, want to give a shout-out to our officiating crew tonight. Our referee is Jeff Davis. John Reagan is our umpire today. Linesman's Kenny Mills. Ron Aulette's the line judge, and then the back judge is DJ O'Brien. A lot of familiar names you'll hear from around the area, so a solid umpiring crew tonight for this contest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one that, this crew's been together a while. They'll do a real nice job on this game. I'm looking forward to this one. There's just always a different feel once you get to Week 11.
You love the postseason, too. You got that chill in the air. It's about a 50-degree night here in Austintown, Ohio for Greenwood Chevrolet Stadium, our site. Mayfield donning their white unis with the green numbering, green trim, and the green Wildcat on top of a white helmet. The Falcons in their red unis with the navy bottoms, too. They got the navy helmet with the white block F on it.
Yeah, I love these uniforms. You can't beat it. Getting ready to go. And the nice thing is, Mayfield, they'll be going from our left, and we're in the visiting press box, to the right. And, we get to see how that Fitch defense does right off the bat.
As we mentioned, the Falcons did win the toss. They elected to defer, so Fitch, like we mentioned, want that 2-for-1 possibility at the end of the half, and they're going to rely on the defense to start it out, and this has been their backbone too. When you talk about a team that allows less than 20 points a game on the defensive side, they're doing something right too. And you mentioned Mayfield too, albeit they have wins against a lot of teams under 500. They've only held opponents at 20.4 points per game, so not a horrible defense either on the Wildcat side.
Yeah, it's just been a tough circumstance. I think the one glaring one that sticks out to me is Cardinal Mooney absolutely lit them up. That was a 34-6 game, and I'm sure they had to forget about that one real quick.
It's a Wildcat team, like you mentioned. You don't know what type of offense you're going to get. Only 11.5 points per game. They actually beat both Riverside and South to get into the playoffs, winning their last 2 weeks of the regular season to sneak themselves in at the 13 seed.
Well, and here's what's big right now. Like, we've seen this in the past. Fitch is great at onside kicks. Do you dare start the game and just
get the ball right out of the gate?
Get the ball right out of the gate. I doubt they do it. I think they want to turn that defense loose and let them set the tone early.
Falcons going to send Anthony Ruggles out there. Ruggles, the senior kicker for the Falcons squad, capable of hitting field goals in the 45-plus yard range. Often gets touchbacks in these kickoff scenarios, and he's going to boot it through the back of the end zone and have one done right there.
So there you go. First objective, pin them at the 20-yard line. Make them go 80 yards.
And you talk to Coach Parker about that, too. He knows it's a three-headed attack, too, in the game of football, and he feels like if you could cut one of those heads right off of the Dragon off the bat, too, you have a good chance of winning, take the special teams play out of it.
Absolutely. He is one of the coaches that absolutely stresses that special teams unit, and I know the Falcons work a lot on it during the week.
As Fitch defensively led by guys up the middle, too. Good linebacking core, too, though. And Markey Fitzgerald, Rocchio DeFlorio, some everyday names you hear out of that linebacking core. Also here.
How about Mayfield spreading it?
They're a team that loves the pass. They don't go to the run game too often. 5 wide, go over the middle, a little dump-off pass. 2-yard completion, and that was out to number 17, Max Thurman.
And credit to the Fitch defense right off the start there, Ty, because what they did, they sat in the zone and they let nobody run underneath them. It was just you were only going to get a few yards on that play because anybody deep was covered. But the line got nice pressure there, and the QB, Rogers, just had to dump it off.
It comes down to if that line can hold their own against the O-line and give those linebackers a chance. That's where Fitch's bread is buttered on the defensive side. That linebacking core is tough, one of the best in the area that you'll see. Taking the snap, Rogers looking for the quick pass, tried to lead him with it and almost led him too far. That intended target was Ryan Epich, the sophomore. So his favorite targets are Lance Reed as well as J.D. Dinnan, as Reed had 38 catches and Dinnan had 28 on the season for the Wildcats. But trying to get him to look off those targets perhaps early on by trying to feed some other guys.
Well, and the big play there is Rocco DeFlorio. He absolutely separated the receiver from the ball. And again, that's that linebacking core for Fitch. They can make plays.
Rocco DeFlorio, too, one of the senior leaders on this team, exemplifies tough. Call him an old-school football player because of the way he can bump and bruise with some of the best of them. Getting out of the pocket, rolling to the right, finding a strike down to the 40-yard line. Nice completion, that time to J.D. Sega.
Real nice play there. Quarterback bought time. They rolled him away from all the pressure, and he just waited for his wide receiver to come open in the flat. It was good coverage by Fitch. It's just the receiver got a little bit of separation. That's all he needed, and Rogers, Johnny on the spot with the ball there. That was a nice throw.
I was a little bit more of a Nintendo man myself, but Sega comes in with the big catch there. First down, 41-yard line for the Wildcats. Fresh set of downs. They're going to send receivers, 3 of them to the left, 1 single to the right, put 1 in motion, fake that jet sweep motion. Or no, they went to hand it off, actually, and false start. Looks like we're going to be getting a whistle for.
So there you go, first penalty of the game, and just when Mayfield started to get things moving, and it's those little things that will hurt teams in the postseason. That 5 yards doesn't seem big right now, but all of a sudden you're behind the sticks on first down.
And if there's one area of the ball where you really can't afford penalties, it's the offensive side. If you're the Wildcats, you feel like this is the part of the game where you've struggled a little bit trying to put points on the board. You don't want to be kind of starting behind the 8 ball here. So we'll start instead from the 36. Wildcats will send twins to the left, 1 moving into motion. Their tight end. Handed off that time, trying to go with the running game, just pushed backwards and pushed out of bounds. You want to talk about walling up.
Yeah.
Keeping them behind the 35, call it the 34-yard line. They go out, loss of 2, and it's 2nd and 17.
Good side-to-side motion there by the Fitch defense. There was, when you say a wall, there was 5 guys there, and the running back was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to go out of bounds. And you got to give credit. I mean, 24 for Fitch. DeMar Rogers just slid over the whole play. Like, he basically had it sealed, but the backside was already closed too.
Always a leading tackler. It feels like in the top 5 for that category per game is DeMar Rogers, as he's a threat always on that line for the Falcons. Trying to stay in the pocket. A.J. Rogers feeds out and feeds his man on the side, Lance Reed. No, incompletion.
Wow.
Had it for a second and couldn't hold on to it. That is a guy they're going to be looking to go to a lot, though, is Reed. It's the second time they tried to go to him, try to get him on that jet sweep that ended up being a false start. And
trying to get him in the game, and the tough thing there is you make that catch, it makes it 3rd and manageable. Now you're sitting at 3rd and long, and this is where I look for Fitch. You know, the first time on 3rd down they sent the backers. Do they play up a little more and just try to defend the pass here and get off the field?
3 receivers out to the left, 1 to the right, taking the snap. Staying in the pocket, Rogers evades the sack for a second, but not for long enough. As coming in, closing in that time was Robert Medeiros, the senior linebacker, for the sack and the loss of yardage.
Good play by Medeiros there because he never gave up on the play. The quarterback actually stepped up in the pocket, but then he made the mistake of going back 2 yards, and he runs right into the arms of number 9, who was like, I'll take that sack.
Brady Evans now stands back to receive the punt for the Wildcats. Evans, the younger sibling of Tyler Evans, receiver over at West Virginia and former alumni here at Austintown Fitch. That one's going to take a bounce near the Falcon 40 into the 35, and it's just going to pin dead there. So the Falcons will start at their own 35-yard line. Solid field position for their first drive here.
Not bad. The defense did exactly what they needed to do, gave up 1 first down, but then it comes back to haunt you. That 5-yard penalty put you behind the sticks. Your first down play, you lose a couple more yards, and all of a sudden Mayfield was at an advantage they didn't want to be at. So the Wildcats couldn't make it convert. Here comes this Fitch offense, and I think they're going to want to get to a fast start.
You remember the guys like Jamel James and DJ Williams going through this program. DeAndre Richard, the next Falcon running back. He's a big bumper and bruiser like those two. I previously named. He's going to be one that they're going to look to get the ball to a lot, but Kaylaher going to go with screen pass instead, losing balance and going down near the line of scrimmage. So the Falcons trying to go off of what they normally do, and they'll actually give them a yard here, 2nd and 9.
I think it's on a stumble. He fell forward for a yard. But, again, that opens things up. Mayfield was totally looking for a run there, and now it just keeps him honest.
Twins to the left, single receiver to the right for Kaylaher out of that shotgun with Richard sitting on his left hip. Kaylaher getting a call from his sideline, checking it, shifting over his tight end, still staying out of the shotgun. Snap near the 30, goes to the play action game, finding Brady Evans over the middle across midfield, close to the 45-yard line of the Wildcats, and it's first down Fitch.
Really nice play there. They bid on the run, and the pass was set up as the receiver breaks wide open into the middle of the field. They are the first team to get into the other team's territory.
Falcons quick to it, hand it off to Richard. Richard looking for the edge, still staying on his feet past the 40. Nice run on first down for Richard. It looks like he picked up 9.
Love Fitch here. They are going hurry up all the way, wasting no time snapping the ball.
Running trips to the left, empty to the right, single back in Richard. They'll fake it there as the pass almost tipped and intercepted. The intended target was Altahir Iluano, the sophomore receiver. You're going to hear a lot of sophomores in this starting line, and that's another one.
I think if Cam Grady would have had his eyes up and saw that ball, it floated there for a second, he would have been gone for the defense because that ball was just kind of fluttered out there. But now Fitch still very manageable at 3rd and 1.
3rd and 1, Twins to the right, single receiver to the left. They'll just hand it off to Richard. Richard will get that 1 yard and more down to the 30, and the Falcons will push the chains.
Give some credit here to the Falcons' offensive line. They are blowing open some holes. They're getting to that second level of the Mayfield defense, and Fitch doing exactly what they want to do is just pound that ball.
Right back to the ground game. Waiting on it. Richard finds the hole, bursts forward to the 15. A patient running back is DeAndre Richard for just a sophomore, too, and he showcases it there. Doesn't try to burst forward at the first touch of the ball. He waits for the hole to open up and takes it.
I like the way he stutter stepped that, read it, and he hit the hole.
Twins to the right, single receiver to the left. Falcons in the Mayfield red zone. They'll give it right back to their running back, Richard. Richard goes down towards the 10, about half the yardage needed.
I'll tell you what, this Fitch running game clicking on all cylinders early. That was their shortest gain from scrimmage on, any play, 5 yards, but still. You look at it, they're probably averaging around 8.5 to 9 yards a carry.
As the Falcons can pick up a first down before it's a 1st and goal scenario. They'll spread 2 receivers wide to the left. Kaylaher staying out of the shotgun. Richard still in the backfield. They'll hand it off to Richard, going to the weak side on that and trying to shift it back the other way. It'll be a loss of yardage and a loss of big yardage. It looks like they'll get him back to the original line of scrimmage, though, officially, and call it 3rd and 10.
I think that's a very fortuitous spot because he was still trying to move out of there when he went back a few more yards. But kudos to the Mayfield defense. The Wildcats were able to snuff that one out. They had good pursuit on the ball. They had 5 guys there just waiting for him. Sets up a big 3rd and 11.
Like we mentioned, a Mayfield defense that only gives up 20 points a game. They're not the easiest team to just put points up against. They don't allow many teams get into the 30s. Kaylaher stands in the pocket looking to pass, fires on the slant route, and it's dropped.
We're going to have a flag on that one too, May.
They're going to
tie.
They got the flag, and it looks like they were pointing against the Wildcats. It looked like he hauled it in, and you saw the ball flutter out too, but maybe some PI on that.
Yeah, as he went to make his break to the inside, the defender
holding.
Yeah, he tugged on him pretty good, and that's kind of why it was there.
So for Fitch, it doesn't give them a first down, though. It repeats the 3rd down, but it does make it a little bit more manageable.
Oh, yeah, you're sitting in a good spot here. We know Fitch always has a good kicker, but you may want to think about 2-down territory.
You feel like you want that touchdown lead out of the gates to establish momentum. 2 receivers to the left again for Kaylaher. They'll keep it empty on the right. Go that way fake that way with Richard and fire to the flat. Open is Evans, and falling forward into the end zone that time was DeAndre Reed, the tight end. And getting the tight end involved early on. Reed with the touchdown, coming with 6:14 here in the first.
Hang on, we got to see here. We do have more laundry on the field.
And that's going to erase it right off the board.
That's one of them tough ones where the linemen just get a yard or two beyond where they're allowed to be.
Trying to block it.
Yeah, and, it's kind of, I always said it was no man's land. That's a tough one because that play was well designed, went one way, quarterback reversed, avoided the pressure. The tight end was wide open, but all for naught.
You hate those penalties, too, because Fitch is trying to go with this kind of quick tempo offense, too, and that slows things down. It also helps, I feel like, with that play action game when you're running that quick tempo, too, because then it's really hard to kind of settle in on a run or a pass game. And whistle's going to be blown here. A sideline warning on the Falcons. First one addressed to the Falcons. That penalty did back them up. It's 3rd and 8 now set up for the Falcons. 3 receivers set, 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Shotgun standing is Kaleher. Back to the 20, looking to fire over the top, and it's incomplete. Misfires on the out route there, did Kaleher, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, I think he'd love to have that one back because his receiver made a great break, was open, but the pass was just a little beyond his reach.
So 6:08 to go, first quarter of play. Both teams have had the ball, and the Falcons not going to risk it here for the touchdown. They're going to rather take the lead. And we talk about risk it for the biscuit, and we mentioned this is a Mayfield team that has a solid defense, so perhaps Coach Parker's looking, let's just get some points, get a lead here. And you got to jump, yep.
So now Mayfield again, their own worst enemy. Both teams have hurt each themselves on this drive.
And for you to get a free 5 yards, you won't pick up the first down. It'll be 4th and short here, though, for the Falcons. So decisions time.
I can see it looks like the offense is coming right back on the field.
You say 4th and 8, maybe we don't want to try that. But 4th and 3, DeAndre Richard, they might challenge that with the run game. They're going to stack things up a little bit more here. Single receiver to the left. They're going to bunch it up on the line. Extra blockers. Richard sits on the left hip of Kaleher. They give it to him. Looking for the hole. He finds it.
Wow.
And speed bursts his way into the end zone for the 6.
And I'll tell you what, Jaden Wallace absolutely blew open a big hole for him. Nobody touched him as he headed to the end zone. Nice score there. And
8 yards out. And coming at 6:04 here in the first quarter, the Falcons grab the first lead. And for Fitch, too, that's just big to establish momentum. And the way they had that drive established, too, have plenty of balance on it, passing and rushing attack, too. But they were working quick offensively was the key.
Yeah, and that was the thing. They were not letting Mayfield make any calls.
As Ruggles splits it.
Change defenses or anything like that. They had to get right to the line. So if you're the Falcons, the script has gone just exactly as you wanted, Ty. Your defense comes out, they give up 1 first down, get the ball back, then your offense 65 yards to the house for a touchdown. And great call on 4th down. I think, like you said, 4th and 8, take the 3 points. 4th and 3, let's see if we can get a first down. Well, you did better. You got a touchdown.
And you look at the way the Falcons were able to construct that drive. We mentioned the fact that we didn't really see this kind of quick tempo offense this season. Maybe something out of the old hat trick for Coach Parker, trying to choose something new, trying to give some life into this offense. And sometimes it can help with younger players not having that extra time to think about time between plays. Just getting up, make the throw, make the handoff, get your blocks. Let's go to the next one.
Just go play.
Yeah.
And you have to quickly forget about the play that was behind you. You're always looking forward in that situation. And, again, we saw what the first kick was. If you're Fitch, you probably want to put it deep again. And for them, I think the Falcons consider having the Wildcats at the 20 saying, we've pinned you deep.
As for the Wildcats, now down by 7. Curious to see what they're going to come out with offensively, too. Haven't really had much of a running game this season, so they rely a ton on the pass. They were able to pick up a first down, but weren't unable to get across the midfield stripe, and that's going to be obviously the battle for the Wildcats tonight is trying to get some sort of offense rolling if they want a chance in this game.
Well, I think the big thing we saw, too, they love to spread the field. And against Fitch, I think that's secondary for Fitch, very athletic. So it might not work in Mayfield's favor, but they're not a running team.
You have to dodge some very talented athletic linebackers, too, if you take a little bit too long in the passing game, because they like to send them a lot. As a touchback for Anthony Ruggles, his second of the day, and bring that Wildcat offense back out. A.J. Rogers Jr., the senior quarterback and leader for this Mayfield team. He's got some senior receivers to throw to, though, with both Jacob Reed, a senior, as well as you got an upperclassman in J.D. Dinnan, but Lance Reed also a senior receiver. So a lot of senior leaderships, too. The running back, Eddie Sanders, also a senior. So a lot of guys that have been there, done that, had their experience on the gridiron.
Yeah, and this actually becomes a big drive for Mayfield. And, you know, you're looking just about halfway through the first quarter here. You know, 7-0 Fitch. But if you're Mayfield, you don't want to punt the ball right back to him the way that offense was clicking for the Falcons.
Wildcats will get 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Rogers takes the snap, stays in the pocket, perhaps too long, and has to toss it, get rid of it, out of bounds to the Wildcats sideline.
Heavy pressure there by Fitch.
DeFlorio was one of them in on it, too, and he always feels like he's active on that play.
Yeah. They were after him, and he just had to unload it. And so, again, if you're Mayfield, this is not the way you wanted to start your second series of the night, sitting down at 2nd and 10.
It's tough, too, when you have trouble establishing a run game because defenses can just pin their ears back and expect that pass. Mayfield will try to bunch things up a little bit, go single receiver left and right, and a whistle blown prior to the snap. I don't see any laundry on the field, but let's see what this call is.
Not much of a discussion.
Yeah, you don't really even see a signal.
I'm
Mayfield's backing up 10, it looks like.
They just re-huddled, Ty.
Yeah, they're putting it at 20.
I think what happened was maybe the clock
adjusting,
did not reset.
Watchful eyes of the officials there. So no penalty on the play. They will try to go to the run game, and again, Falcons limit that to just a yard, if that.
Yeah.
I know they're going to give them a generous 2 on it.
Tamar Rogers was there, and as soon as he made contact, about 5 of his good friends joined him there. The Fitch run defense has played like this all year. Like, they have just been very good at getting to the ball. Rogers accidentally moved the ball there as he was stepping back.
You have to readjust that real quick. But DeMar Rogers really a center point on that pass rush game, too, and on the just defensive pressure, too, on that defensive line. A name you'll hear often, too, on Falcon defense. You get him next year, too, just a junior. Taking the snap, A.J. Rogers, the quarterback from Mayfield, overthrew his target that time and was looking for Lance Reed. And again, third time he's tried to get something to Reed, and third time it just hasn't happened for them.
Well, and the other thing, heavy pressure coming again, and that linebacker Marky Fitzgerald was in there. Rogers had no time on that one, and he had to let it go, and it just sailed on him. And just a series that I think the Wildcats would like to forget, but all of a sudden you're looking at Fitch. They could be in great field position to start their second drive.
Falcons with 5:08 left to go here, and that kick doesn't have a ton of mustard on it, but it will take some friendly bounces for the Wildcats, and they're going to pin it, but they're going to pin it in their territory at their own 47, maybe 48-yard line is where the Falcons are going to start. Short field usually equals successful offense.
Yeah, absolutely, and the way things are clicking so far, Ty, I'm sure T.J. Parker was thinking, okay, check 1, defense, check 2, scored, check 3, defense again. Now can my offense make it a 2-score game and really put the pressure on the Wildcats?
You might see them go quick tempo again, but how big of a lead do you need before you start slowing it down and starting to play the burn the clock game? Obviously, you can get to the running clock, but is that the goal here, just to keep piling it on until we get to running clock and then we call it then?
They may. I think it's going to depend how the second series goes.
Kayla off play action, going to put it in the air deep, and they're going to have no flag on it. I thought we might have seen one with the way that collision was set up, too. It looked like Isaiah Porch was the intended target. Porch ran into one of the secondary players for the Wildcats that time.
Jack Elliott was the guy that kind of got in the way.
Try to get the number on that, yeah.
And I think to his benefit was he was faced towards the ball. So you have, the Fitch receiver.
Coming,
he saw it kind of coming. So there we go. Quick huddle.
2nd down and 10. Falcons, 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Junie Higgs gets the handoff that time, and Higgs will pick up a healthy, looks like 7 on that 2nd down run play.
Really nice play. I like the way he cut it back. They kind of got the defense to push one way, and he made just a nice little cutback. You pick up 7, makes it a very short 3rd and 3.
And being on the Mayfield 40, see if the Falcons stay aggressive. Might be 2 down territory the rest of the way through now.
It could be.
And they get another one of those Wildcats to jump. 2nd time that Mayfield has jumped in a situation like this, and this will give a 1st down to the Falcons.
That's their 4th penalty of the game already, and 2 of them have been costly. There it moves the sticks for Fitch. The last time you jumped offside, it took from 4th and long to 4th and short and ended up being a touchdown. So Mayfield kind of hurting themselves at this point.
Falcons fresh set of downs from the Wildcat 35. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left. Back to the ground game the Falcons go, and hitting into a wall and denied any yards that time was Richard on the run game.
Real nice play by John Harris. He came right up, filled that hole, and makes a nice play there. He did what he had to do, and 2nd and long for Fitch, but the Falcons so far have had everything going their way. We'll see if it continues, but that's the type of defense Mayfield's going to have to continue to show.
Wildcat defense did not make that last drive easy on the Falcons. They had to earn it, coming up with some conversions too. And some down distance as the pass intended for Brady Evans, as was flushed out of the pocket, was Kaler. He couldn't make it happen. The incompletion brings up 3rd and 10. And now if you're Mayfield, you're looking at this as a potential opportunity to get the ball back without giving up any points.
Yeah, but I want to see what T.J. Parker's going to dial up here. He's got a lot of options you can do. If you're Mayfield, you're kind of thinking pass, but the way the running game's been working, you have so many options here if you're the Falcons.
Right now this would be a 52-yard field goal. Not technically out of Ruggles' range, but is it something you want to try at this point in the ballgame? 3:39 in the 1st quarter.
Oh.
And they'll get another jump on the Wildcats. This won't give the Falcons a 1st down, but it'll give them a free 5. Now 3rd and 5 going to be set up for Fitch.
This is the 3rd time Mayfield has jumped offside, so you got to love the inflection that's coming from the quarterback's voice. Fitch has obviously seen something that Mayfield has done, and they're using it to their advantage, because now you turn it to 3rd and short, and again, you can power run it or you can put it up.
Richard in the backfield with Kaler on his right hip. They'll hand it off. Richard goes left, finds the cut, gets to the 20, has an open lane, stays on his feet, and he'll finally go out of bounds just before getting into the end zone. And it looks like the 5, maybe the 4 is where they're going to pin him out, but a nice, big, healthy run by DeAndre Richard, and it's 1st and goal Falcons.
Wow, you got to like that run. That sets up everything, and if you're Mayfield, you had them pinned, and now all of a sudden you're shortly could be down 2 scores.
From 5 yards out, the Falcons 1st and goal. 1 receiver each way. Richard stacked up by Kaler. They get it right to Richard. Richard fishing through that line of the Wildcats, trying to get as many yards as he can. They're going to say forward progress. Stops him at, looks like the 2.
So another 3-yard pickup. That was a tough one. Heavy sledding in there. But it took literally about 8 Wildcats to bring him down. So the Falcons, I think they're pretty much set in their ways of what they're going to show them on this drive.
I think they're content running the ball 3 more times and trying to get in the end zone with that. Mayfield trying to turn them away. Falcons knocking on the door of another score. Go back to the ground game, looking for the cut up the middle, and it's going to be just short. Looks like where they're going to put him down is between the 1 and the 2 yard line, and maybe.
Nice play by the Wildcats there. Number 28 coming in, making a good play. Carter Moises comes up with that. He made the original tackle, and what he did that was smart, he got down on the lower legs and tied him up of Richards. So that let the other guys have time to get there and make a play. Now you're Fitch, 3rd and goal from the 4. Run.
That old adage, when they're big and strong up top, you got to cut them down from the bottom, too, like a tree.
Yeah, and the big thing was he didn't have to bring him down. His friends helped him.
You got one receiver each way. Falcons put one into motion on the sweep. And the ball pops loose, and it looks like Mayfield jumped on it, and they are up with it, running with the football, and Callagher's the only one to beat. They will all the way to the other side of the field and into the end zone for 6. J.D. Sega.
Wow, what a
scoop
turn
and
of
score.
Events. Yeah, that's about 98 yards, 99. It looks like the flags were down right around the markers that the referees throw. What a play by the Mayfield defense, and that's a momentum turner.
Minute 47, a scoop and score. Are you kidding me? What a play by the Wildcat defense, and that'll breathe new life into them.
Absolutely, and Sega Genesis comes up big. Nice play, and what awareness, though, to see that ball loose to scoop it.
They got 16-bit over at Sega. Now looking for that extra point, Devin Calabrese. And he'll put it up, he'll put it through. And Mike, we got a tie game here in the first quarter.
We do. You're literally 4 yards away from going up 2 scores, and the defense makes a great play, forces the fumble. You get to scoop and score. 99 yards, I think, is what they're going to mark that as. And just like that, Mayfield has some momentum on their side. Now the Fitch offense, well, they'll be right back on the field.
If there's one silver lining, is that if you will keep that Mayfield defense on the field, but they're going to be fired up now after that turnover, and that changes things because this felt like this was a game that was trending one way. Turnovers are what bit the Falcons big time last week, too. They had the interception. They had a fumble loss. Both of those turned into touchdowns against them. It's just things you can't have, too. And like we said, with a young team, you might see those mistakes happen a little bit more frequently than you're used to.
This is one where you got to forget about this really quick and just go back to work. You still got 3 quarters, 1 minute and 47 seconds left. So make the most of it and just go.
Falcons, everything seemed like it was free and easy, and they were going to go up 2 scores, and the Wildcats say not so fast. I didn't get a number on who popped it loose, but what about the awareness of Sega to scoop it and find that lane to the end zone, too?
Yeah, I thought the big thing on that play was, it's going to be the end around. I thought he cut it in too tight. It looked like it was open on the wide side, but when he cut it back in, I think he just got hit from a side that he didn't see a player coming in. Just a right spot on the hit.
We talked about it. The Wildcat defense was going to be what keeps them into ball games. Their defense has the points for them. Falcons get on the return. Staying in the feed up to the 27 and taken down there.
So the Fitch offense back on the field, and pretty much they've been on the field for most of the first quarter. They've had first drive pays off with a touchdown. Second one ends in disaster. Now let's see, faced with a little adversity, how does the offense come back and answer the call?
You still have a chance to recapture a lead now, but one thing you got to feel like Coach Parker is just preaching on that sideline, is taking care of the football too, as turnovers have directly led to our demise in a couple of games this season. It can't happen here in Week 11.
Yeah, absolutely.
Falcons really bunching things up here at the line. Extra blockers galore. They're going to hand it off, and Mayfield going to cut that run down to a yard.
Did you see there they packed the box? There was at least 8 guys down inside the box for Mayfield. So they kind of know what Fitch wants to do. If you're the Falcons, that could really set up that pass game if you want to throw one out over.
That's what the Falcons, you almost feel like, need to do, because Mayfield's going to try to center in on that run and keep Richard to a minimal going forward here as the Falcons show 2 receivers left, 1 to the right. Always staying out of the shotgun is Kayla. Taking the snap, back to the ground game. Nice cut, evading the first tackle, but the Wildcats again hold it to just, it looks like a 2-yard gain. And 3rd and about 6 going to be coming up here for Fitch.
Yeah, nice play there as they come up with it. Looked like it was going to be a big gainer, but all of a sudden the outside guy just sealed back in and cut it off. This is a big down. Mayfield trying to get off the field. Fitch definitely wanting to extend this drive.
33 seconds and ticking first quarter. Last play coming of the quarter. Fitch 2 receivers left, 1 to the right. They're on the right hash mark. They'll take that snap. Gaylor looks outside, try to get to the sideline. A nice gain on 3rd down, but it will be short of the marker by about 1 yard, maybe 2. See where they mark them. It's 4th and short nonetheless.
Yeah, big play there. Jack Elliott, comes up, makes a big stick, keeping the Falcons just short of the moving them. So that'll bring it to the end of the first quarter, all knotted up at 7.
And Coach Parker wants to talk this one over. This is a different type of risk it for a biscuit. You don't come up with it here. You're talking Mayfield ball in Falcon territory. You might just want to give it back to the Wildcats. Things took a turn here with that scoop and score from J.D. Siga. Ty Bartell, Mike Ackelson. We're back with quarter number 2 after this. Back here with the start of the second quarter. Ty Bartell, Mike Ackelson, YSNLive.com. As the Falcons rushing the offense up on the field here. It's 4th and 1. Maybe trying to get one of the Wildcats to jump off sides. And they're not going to get him to as Fitch calls for the timeout.
It was a good gamble. It really was.
It was, 3 times we've seen encroachment calls on the Wildcats?
Yeah. So credit to Mayfield's defense there. They held tight. So
beneficial to them, though. They were on the right hash mark coming towards us, so closer to us. So you had all the coaches in their ears probably screaming, do not jump off. So now the Falcons likely going to just kick it away after the Wildcats sniffed out the smoke screen. And if you're Fitch, you got a good kicker. You got a guy that can pin it back deep. You try for it, but actually, check that. They're coming back out with the offense.
Now they're really going to.
Wildcat sideline getting up and getting rowdy. They're going to give it to their man, Richard. DeAndre Richard, big hole, big gain. You ain't going to catch him now to the end zone.
What a call there by T.J. Parker. Let's go for it at our own 38-yard line.
62-yard run. That's incredible. First play of the second quarter. And you talk about a gamble. If there's anyone that has the exemplification of risk it for the biscuit, it's T.J. Parker. Well, biscuit Falcons there.
And the tough thing there is Mayfield had 10 guys in the box, so once Richard got past that initial thrust, it was all green in front of him.
You sell out to try to stop the run, and sometimes that's how you could get burned. Ruggles tries for the extra point, and he will split the uprights, and the Falcons lead it 14-7.
So just like that, Ty, now the momentum has flipped back to Fitch. And if you're Mayfield, you're a yard away from hopefully thinking they're going to punt in their own territory. But the Falcons said, hold our Gatorade.
He come back out there with that sophomore sensation, DeAndre Richard. And there has been so many young running backs on the network this year that we've been able to showcase, sophomore running backs that have come up with big names too. I think the running game is we're seeing a renaissance in the running game too at all levels too, but we have a very healthy rushing attack here for the next couple years in the Valley.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing, like, to see this young man as a sophomore here at Fitch, you think of all the good backs that have come through this school. This is a guy who may have a shot to rewrite some things.
as Richard with a big carry for the touchdown. He has both scores today for the Falcons, both from an 8-yard strike and a 62-yard strike. He's already eclipsed 100 yards in this first half on the ground.
And if you're TJ Parker, that's exactly what you wanted, was that running game to come out, because that means your young quarterback doesn't have to put the game into his hands on every play.
Take some pressure off of him, too. And like we said, that's a sophomore running back in Richard, too. Just young guys all over the field, too, but guys that are ready to step up and make that moment theirs. And DeAndre Richards, one of those young men. The kick goes away, and it goes out of the back of the end zone. Touchback. So Mayfield, you got the big touchdown. Things have settled down now. Falcons got the winds of momentum blowing back in their sails now. But if you're the Wildcats, you're still only down by a touchdown here, and things could happen with this drive. They just, offensively, they haven't been able to figure it out. That touchdown coming on the defensive side.
Yeah, if you look at things, they've literally only had 8 plays on offense. So things have not gone their way. They need to sustain the ball and keep that defense actually off the field, because you could see Fitch just starting to wear a little.
A.J. Rogers takes the 3-step drop, looking to pass, fires towards the sideline, and they're going to get the completion and get it to the 22, 23-yard line. And nice gain on a first down pass to eat about half the yardage.
Nice play by Max Thurman. The way that ball is thrown, it's out to his outside shoulder. He's the only guy that had a shot to catch that there. Make sure he goes down on his knees, collects it, moves the sticks a little bit, sets up a nice second down, short yardage for Mayfield.
If you're the Wildcats, you just need to be talking about collecting first downs, pushing those chains, putting together a sustained drive. They go to the ground game, try to push. Oh, look at that tackle. Big man tackle to Vanzo Tate. Put him on the ground, but they do push the chains after getting across the 30. And that's going to be a sign for the Wildcats' success offensively, is can they get those 3-4-yard gains on the ground?
Yeah.
You don't need to live in the rushing attack, but you need to make the Falcons respect it.
Well, and we're 13 minutes into the game. You're trailing 14-7. That's only their second first down.
So now you're the Wildcats at the 31-yard line. Fresh set of downs. One going into motion, and Lance Reed will try to get it on the screen, and the ball is popped loose. Incomplete, they say. Never was a catch. Not a fumble. An incomplete pass. It's 2nd and 10.
I'll tell you what, Matteritz, again, making a real nice play. He snuffed out that screen, and as soon as the ball got near the receiver and it starts to touch him, he absolutely just lit him up and said, "No, sir."
Was looming. Was Matteritz as 2nd and 10 now for the Wildcats. Trying to get to that foul, or get to their own 41-yard line. Going to go with a fake on the option that time, and nothing going on the running attack there. It's 3rd and 10 now.
I think they're just trying to keep the Fitch defense honest from pinning their ears back. You got to throw a few runs in there, but what it does now, for the 3rd straight series, you're faced with a 3rd and long, and it hasn't worked out in Mayfield's favor so far because the Falcons know what's coming now.
It's been up to the Falcons secondary to try to get it done. Junie Higgs, Travion Davis, Devanzo Tate, 3 big names typically featured in that Falcons secondary. 2 receivers each way for the Wildcats. Staying out of the shotgun. They motion one and Reed to the other side. Taking the snap, Rogers finds a hole, finds an opening, keeps it on his feet, gets compacted near the 40, but he'll get close to that first down. No, they're going to give him the first down and say move the chains.
Very fortuitous spot there, but what didn't help was the Fitch players kind of pushed him forward as they brought him down. So close enough that they'll move the sticks. And if you're Mayfield, this has been the best offensive movement they've had so far of their 3 drives.
Their first down marker now sits at the Falcon 49-yard line as 2 first downs out of the 3 first downs for Mayfield coming in this drive. Trailing by 7, Wildcats looking to put together one that results in some points. 3 receivers left. The snap, go to the screen game. Good blocking out front, finding a small seam, did Reed. Ball is loose, though, and the Falcons come up with it. Travion Davis jumped on it.
He stripped it, ripped it, recovered it. Perfect play there on the defense. And for the Wildcats, that's disaster because you're just fighting for a few extra yards. If you go down, you're sitting at second and short. But the receiver trying to make something happen for him because it was the best success they had had, and all of a sudden, disaster strikes again.
Falcons come up with the big play on their defensive side of things as Travion Davis forces the fumble and recovers it. And now the Falcons set up at their own 45-yard line to try to get a multiple score lead here for the first time tonight. 9:04 left in the first half. Falcons bunch things up again. Trips just to the left. Send it out to Evans on the screen pass. Evans has a lane. Nice tackle, though, on that closeout to stop Evans on the completion. I believe that was number 11 on the other way, too, when Lance Reed. So 111 to another as Reed with a good tackle to stop any extra yards, too, because if Evans gets that side, he's got a lot more.
Well, he did a nice job shutting the blocker there because that play set up well for Fitch. It's just the Wildcats defender was able to make a better play.
Shifted to the other opposite hash mark. Two receivers right, one to the left. Put it on play action into the hands of Evans. Evans, nice stiff arm, keeps him off of him and still stays on his feet. Finally pushed out of bounds near the 29-yard line of the Wildcats. But it's a first down, fresh set of downs for the Falcons.
Real nice play by Evans. Once he caught the pass coming out of the backfield, and it's just a nice little swing, he was able to outrace the first defender. The second guy, it's a good thing he got a good push because that could have been disastrous for the Wildcats.
Falcons feeling the tempo again. Two receivers left, one to the right. Staying out of the shotgun. Kaler goes to the ground game, and it was Mahone that time that got the carry. Christian Mahone, number 25. But they only hold it to about a 2-yard, maybe a 1-yard gain on that. Second down and longer here for the Falcons.
Yeah, some tough sledding on that play, and the Wildcats defense was ready for that one as they did not let the cutback get to them on that particular play. But if you're Fitch, you just want to keep moving that ball forward.
Richard back in the backfield with Kaler. Same three receiver set, two to the left off that near side hash mark. Back to the ground game. Richard tripped up immediately after getting a hold of the ball. Nice job tackling him on first contact by the Wildcats that time.
Well, big play there. Kingston Murchison tried to strip the ball, and it almost looked like he got a little loose, but give Richard credit because he quickly got that other hand over it.
Saying we can't afford another fumble in this
situation.
No. We can't give another turnover. Third down and 8, though. Mayfield defense locking down.
Big play for Mayfield here.
Three receivers left. They're going to empty it out, putting Richard in motion. Find him on the screen pass. Richard with a full head of steam close to the chains. And they're going to mark him out just shy of it. But it is third down and a lot more manageable here for the Falcons.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice play there.
Or fourth down, and more manageable.
Fourth and 2. And if you're Fitch, you got lots of options here. And
you're all right if turnover on downs pins them still at the 22-yard line. You're okay with that. Stay aggressive, stack the offensive line. Plenty of blockers set up for Fitch. They hand it off to Richard, and Richard gets a first down. There's a pile and a fight on top of the pile.
He is like a bulldozer just coming through there. He just gets those legs churning. Hard to bring down. It takes 3 to 4 Wildcats each time, and that will wear on a defense.
Making a tackle 30, 40 times in a game just because guys are getting handoffs too. You'll have to tackle Richard in particular about 20, and then they spread out another 15, 20 carries amongst other running backs with this team. Empty on the right side, 2 receivers to the left. Falcons looking in the passing game. Kaler has no one over on that closest receiver. That time looked like it was Higgs, but I would miss him about 2 or 3 yards.
I think he just unloaded it. He saw the pressure coming from his left side.
Find the closest guy and just throw it somewhere.
Just get it near him.
Second down now and long. Ideal play for Mayfield. Forcing no gain on first. Falcons going to send a single receiver each way. Looks like Higgs they're keeping in the backfield. Give it to Junie as Junie Higgs staying on his feet before reinforcements come to tackle him down. Put it on the ground to get some of those yards. Make third down a little more manageable. It's 3rd and 7 it looks like.
It's probably 2-down territory the way the Falcons offense has been moving, to be honest with you. And, this is where, you're expecting a little bit of everything. You got your big power back in there, but, boy, you can really maybe throw it here.
2 receivers each way. Richard on the right hip of Kaleher. He's getting a call from the Falcons sideline, far side of the field, relays it to the offensive line. They're going to stack it up, the Mayfield defense here a little bit more. And prior to the snap, whistle blown and a timeout by Austintown. So
good
Coach
timeout.
Parker probably didn't like what he saw on that shift defensively, too.
Well, the play clock was winding down. It was under 4 seconds to go. They were trying to shift. You don't want to take a 5-yard penalty there. Take the timeout. Maybe you draw something up. But it looked like Mayfield knew that when he made the first shift, they were going into a running play because, boy, did they tuck tight into that box.
3rd down and 7 here for the Falcons. Coach Parker talking it over with his squad. This is a big play coming up here. If Mayfield can force a 4th down here and potentially either force them into a field goal or potentially get off the field on a turnover on downs, that could give you that opportunity, too, to where you're still in striking distance. You're going to get the ball back. It's 5.5 minutes to go here in the first half, so you're going to get another possession. So there's still that chance to potentially tie it up or maybe even make it a 3-point game again.
Well, and the big thing, too, here is you know where you're sitting, and that ball's already directly in the middle of the field. So from Fitch, you don't want to take away and take a hefty sack here or anything that could take you out of field goal range.
You got a beautiful spot, for the kick. 3 receivers left, 1 to the right. Falcons 3rd and 7 here. They're going to put it on the ground, and not much running room. Stayed on his feet, though, after first contact, but nothing to be had. It's 4th down.
Mayfield had that one really well read. They knew exactly what was coming. The first wave actually missed them, but the second wave was sitting there waiting. So
loss of yard officially. It's 4th and 8, and the Falcons will settle for the field goal, bringing out Ruggles. Ruggles going to be kicking this one from the 20-yard line. Call it about a 30-yard officially field goal. So the snap is down. The kick from Ruggles is up, and it's true as the Falcons get the 3 on the 30-yard field goal by Ruggles with 4:44 here in the first half.
Hey, it's not a touchdown, but it's 3 points, and now all of a sudden it's a 2-score game in favor of the Falcons. Mayfield's offense has yet to reach the midfield point or even get into Falcons territory. So if you're Fitch, you got to feel good that you may, if you can come out here and get a quick stop, you may have one more shot to poke some points in.
This drive could pretty much spell the game because if you're Mayfield, you're still looking at that, okay, we held them to 3. Like, that's still a win. We're only down by 10. We have a chance to make this a potential 3-point game, 1-score game going into halftime, too. Yeah. Like you said, on the flip side, they have a chance to go up potentially 3 scores now with the ball coming out in the second half. And the game could pretty much be spelled over then if the Falcons converted 2 for 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, as I stated earlier, I thought Mayfield would have to pull out every trick that's in their bag. They have yet to use them.
So you have, that is a good point, too. So you have a whole second half to where you're throwing everything at the wall, hoping just something sticks, right? The thing is, if you're Fitch too, you got to feel like Coach Parker is going to be talking about the fact that they're going to be throwing their best shot at us, but it comes down to us. We can't falter as a team. We can't have those fumbles in the red zone. We got to take care of the ball too. We can't give them those opportunities to be able to pull off those trick plays and have stuff magical happen for them.
I mean, it's 17-7 right now. It could easily be 24-7.
They're going to go with the squib, and Mayfield nicely was ready for it too. And you saw Falcons wanted that 2-for-1 opportunity. They risked it. Didn't get the biscuit this time. Wildcats recover with solid field position.
What that shows me, though, is TJ's got enough belief in his defense and the way they're playing. I can try a little squib here. Okay, it didn't work. I'm going to give Mayfield their best field position of the night. My defense is going to stop them. That's exactly what he's telling them. Go out and get a stop here, and we'll see what we can do, because they may have enough time to put a drive together.
If you're Mayfield here, this is a golden opportunity for your offense, a shorter field. You haven't gotten an offensive touchdown tonight. Reed goes into motion. They'll hand it off, trying to get something going on the ground game with the Falcons. First and foremost, love to stop the run on defense. They do so there for no gain. Second down.
Yeah, 24-9. We've said their names quite a bit tonight. They were both there, Rogers and Mataritz, in there to make that stop real quick. And just like that, Fitch, just where their defense has been setting most of this game so far, putting Mayfield into second and long.
Fitch defense technically hasn't given up any of the points.
Yeah.
It was the Mayfield defense that has them the 7. Trying to get the Falcon front 3 to jump offsides. And they're only going 3-man rush up front, too. And when you're able to get the penetration they've had, it's huge. They go into the air, though, looking for the beautiful pass, and they find it. Bread in the bed basket down on the sideline. And it's inside the 30. It looks like 28-yard line. What a catch that time. That was number 3 for them, and Jacob Reed, the senior receiver.
Really nice play there, and it's their best play of the night, puts them deep into Fitch territory, and now Mayfield's thinking we've got to come away with some points here.
They're going trips to the right inside the Falcon 30. Potential field goal range for Calabrese, but you're not looking for that. You're looking for the 7. Trying to hold on to the ball. It's incomplete, as it was intended that time for number 8, Ryan Epich, sophomore.
Epich just took his eyes off. He knew he had a little bit of daylight if he could spin out there, but he was trying to make that move before he caught the ball. And Fitch's defense, though, they make a good move to that, forcing him to drop it. So you got to hand it to the Falcons here. They're not going to let one play kind of dictate what's going on.
And 3:23 rather to go here in the first half. If you're Mayfield, though, love to put the ball in the air, but if you have those incompletions, you also open up the opportunity for the Falcons to get the ball before the half. You kind of want to balance this out to where your score is the last play of the half. Staying in the shock, another nice find, too. First down pass, and that looked like a nice simple curl route, and it found the completion. Again, number 3 was Reed, Jacob Reed.
Reed, really nice there. He ran a really good route, and again, I do like how Rogers can place that ball on the sidelines. The only guy that was going to catch that was Reed. It was on his back shoulder. He just turned around, and the ball was being delivered before he even turned.
And it looks like Mayfield kind of going with the we're going to go with the short strike pass game here. And that can almost act as a secondary run game, too, when you can get those 3-4-yard passes and the screen passes dump off and those medium passes, too, instead of looking for the big shot. They're going to go back to the ground game, trying to keep the Falcons' defense honest, and they'll get a nice 4-yard gain as you're finding a rhythm and a tempo now is this Mayfield offense, and that's the last thing you wanted if you were the Falcon defense.
Yeah, Dylan Crone comes up, makes the stop there, but after they get a nice little gain. So Mayfield's offense finally has something cooking, and Fitch, I know TJ's saying, come on, guys, make a play here. Just make a play.
Mayfield can pick up one more first down before it's a first and goal scenario. 3 receivers right, 1 to the left. Wildcats rushing it the last time. Going to look to pass. Rogers goes to the near side, and it's an incompletion. And a flag comes in afterwards.
This is going to be interesting because if this is on Mayfield, that is a big, big dead ball.
Yeah, you don't
foul.
want it. You don't want
if you're
that.
Fitch, you definitely don't want that because that's going to set up a first and goal situation.
Let's hear the call down on referee Jeff Davis. 15-yard penalty there, and they called that one. Giuseppe Mangaluzzi, one of the offensive and defensive linemen here for the Wildcats, too.
Again, penalties continue. Oh, uh-oh.
And another one comes on.
2 flags flying. Mayfield has been their own worst penalty.
They really
when
have.
it has come to the penalties this evening.
You want to talk about potentially derailing everything here.
Yeah, this could be absolutely detrimental.
If this is another one against them tacked on. Wow, unsportsmanlike conduct on the Falcon defense. It was on DeFlorio, too, one of their leaders, and that's one you can't have because you just gave them those 15 right back now.
You did. What a flip that was, and I got to admit, the way I saw the 2 flags come out, I never ever thought it was going to be on the Falcons. But if you're Mayfield now, you've got an opportunity here that you better take advantage of because you're staring down a 10-point deficit at this point.
All in all, after everything's said and done, it was pretty much offsetting penalties with
Yeah,
the sideline
it really
warning
was.
that we got. Big play, and we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Whistles blown.
Timeout.
And I believe it was at Mayfield calling their first?
Yes.
And his first timeout, Wildcats. You like that timeout, though. A lot of commotion, a lot of dead ball time that we had between plays. You want to make sure everyone's on the same page here.
Well, it's really good for Mayfield, but I think it's a positive for Fitch because now you get to go out there. The D coordinators, hey, let's make a play. Make a play here. And I'm going to be honest, for the Wildcats, it's 2-down territory. You're down 10. You've got to get some points because pretty much this has been your best offensive drive. You've had 2 big passes to read on this one from Rodgers. That's what has set them up. So if I'm Fitch, I'm definitely telling my defensive backs, do not let 3 make the big play here.
When you're an offense that struggles, do you take field goals in this situation just to get points on the board, or because you got so deep in territory, you feel like you're not going to have many opportunities to go for the 6, you try to go for the 6 here?
I think they go for the 6 only because they're down 10, and they're going to hope that Fitch doesn't score when they get the ball back, but when they come out of the half, the Falcons are right back to work.
Wanting a touchdown here. Feels like they need it, though. Mayfield puts one into motion. Rodgers evades pressure, dumps it off, but the Falcon defense all over it on the completion. Loss of yardage, loss of 5, 2 behind the original line of scrimmage. It's back to the Wildcat 20.
So if you're
back to the Falcon 20, rather.
Yeah.
So Fitch takes their last time out of the first half, I believe, leaving them with none. And Mayfield still has 2 remaining. So now you're talking things over of just making sure they don't get a first down here. Because you're thinking they're going to stay aggressive, but they got their kicker out of it.
Yeah, they have the kicker out right now, which, like you said, maybe just points. I mean, it does cut it to 1-score game.
It's tough to decipher. I feel like going backwards on that last play really kind of made up the mind on that. If they got a positive gain, got maybe a little bit, just anything positive to get a 4th and shorter, I think because you're behind the original line of scrimmage, you don't want to walk away empty-handed. And 2:25 to go here. First half of play, second quarter. Calabrese looks to make it a 1-score game. Ball is down from the 27, and it's blocked by the Falcons. And jumping on it was Mayfield, but all for naught. It's a turnover on downs. It's a turnover to the Falcons, so a blocked field goal keeps this a 2-score game.
I believe Marky Fitzgerald is the guy who got in there and blocked it. There was a couple of Falcons that got free. Looked like they were going to come up the middle, but it was actually the left side that made the really good push. That one's a heartbreaker for Mayfield because they needed points there. And instead of it being a 17-10 game, it's still 17-7 and lots of time here for Austintown.
2:21. Falcons can get into their 2-minute offense. They start with the ball in the third quarter. They can really start putting this thing out of reach, already up 10. They're going to have 3 receivers out on this set. Kaylaher. Single back on his left hip. They'll go into the screen pass, finding Evans. Evans, full head of steam, dodging tacklers. Evans still on his feet, following blockers all the way to the Mayfield 30.
Wow. What a run there by Evans. He come in on that screen, just took it, weaved, bobbed, followed his blockers, and just like that, flipped the field position.
Running trips to the right, empty to the left. Falcons quickly keeping the offense on the field. Keeper, Kaylaher. Down to the 25, and it's loose. The ball is loose. It looks like the Falcons may have recovered, though.
I think he was down before it came loose, but
still
I didn't see any markers thrown, so that's why I think they would have marked him down, but you got to protect that ball right now because if you're Fitch, golden opportunity.
Brady Evans was the one that jumped on it regardless, too. Second down, Falcons put it on the ground with Richard. Richard waiting for a hole to open up. Mayfield doesn't let one happen and keeps him at the line of scrimmage, maybe a gain of a yard.
Yeah, it's going to set up, third and very manageable here for Fitch. Still going no huddle here. Just kind of reading things out like they want to do and see. But if you're Austintown, you've got no timeouts. We got to remember that. So they've used them all. So you don't want to waste too much time here drawing up this play.
I think Coach Parker, too, is going to let this – I don't know, though, because it's tough to – with the way this Mayfield defense has been playing, they've had some close calls on top of that turnover the Falcons gave up. Trying to go to the end zone on the deep pass. It's a jump ball, and it's incomplete. Fourth down. The clock stops at 45 seconds. You got a guy that can make this field goal, make it a 13-point game. Do you elect to do that?
I'm wondering if it's just on the fringe of him maybe not making it. Do you bring him out? Let's try it, right?
You got to feel, though, if you're the Wildcats, you consider this an absolute win. Like, you had the Falcons potentially – that could have potentially been up 3 scores on you right now, and you've held them to just a 13-point lead, 2 scores. If they can convert, that is.
Yeah, this is big.
It's from the 32. It's going to be a 42-yard attempt officially. Got to get the iron working in the leg. Good snap. It's down. The kick. Losing steam, and it's going to fall short.
It's going to be about 3 yards too short.
And 40 seconds left on the clock with the missed field goal, plus 2 timeouts for the Wildcats. You have an opportunity, if you can get some big strikes off on offense, to set yourself up for some points.
Well, and that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to make some deep throws here because that's going to be their only option. This is where Jacob Reed's got to come up big. Jack Elliott's got to come up big. Their receivers, J.D. Dinnan, they've got to make some plays here for him. And the cool thing about high school football, 10 yards, clock stops. Plus, you got those 2 timeouts, so they can use the middle of the field if they elect to.
They have an opportunity here. They will have to go from their own 20-yard line, so they got to go 80 yards. But they do have some time and a couple timeouts to work with. Rogers looks to pass, keeps it, and just goes down on the slide after getting a gain of a few.
That was kind of surprising. I mean, the pocket was collapsing on him, but
to slide and let the clock run here, too. And
maybe if you're Mayfield, you're just saying, hey, we're only down 10.
Rogers rolls out to his right, puts it in the air, tried to find it down the sideline. It's incomplete. Flag comes in, though. .13 seconds left on the clock here in the first half.
Interesting what this call is going to be. Kind of surprised the game's getting a little chippy. I mean, it's not like there's a big rivalry between these two schools, like you said.
One meeting previous, yeah. But it's one of those. Mayfield's coming in with that dogs mentality. They got that chip on their shoulder. Falcons maybe feeling like they're not doing their job to the best of their ability. Maybe that the Wildcats shouldn't be competing like they are. And Mayfield's going to say, you know what, we'll take that 10-point deficit. We'll take it to the halftime locker room and play for the second 24 minutes of the ball game. What an interesting first half, highlighted by some great defensive play by both teams. Falcons with a slim edge, 17-7 after the first half of play. We've got about a 20-minute halftime intermission, as we will have the playing of both the Mayfield Wildcats and the Austintown Fitch Falcons marching band. So as we have the halftime stoppage, you can enjoy both the bands of these high schools that work oh so hard throughout the entire season as well. Starting with Mayfield and following with Fitch. We'll be back here in about 20 minutes. Ty Bartell, Mike Ackelson, ysnlive.com after this.
We believe
from stop.
All right, so Mooney going to take a timeout here.
Hi, this is Zell Bush.
Hi, this is Tom Flynn. Hi, this is Steve Versetto.
Hi, this is Ryan Miller.
Hi, this is Rich Sakui from WRS Wealth Advisors.
With our combined
80 years of experience, WRS Wealth Advisors are the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services.
or visit WRSwealth.com.
Go Raiders.
Go Dogs.
Go Cats. Go Dogs. Go Tigers.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car.
Take time to relax and be well. Connect with nature and each other. Come see what's new at Mill Creek Metro Parks. Plan your trip now at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Get back to doing the things you love. Regain your freedom from chronic pain without surgery or drugs. The power of care is nothing without hope, and our chiropractic services were created with true healing in mind. Find your hope at Meridian Healthcare.
At Joe Dickey Electric, no job is too big or too small. We do it all. We power the plants that help bring us together, the businesses that help our community thrive, and the home that you've been dreaming of. We'll even install a light bulb for you. With over 65 years of commercial, industrial, residential, and 24/7 emergency services, you can trust the experts at Joe Dickey Electric because we are everything electrical.
What does it mean to be approved? I'm Tracy, and to me it means getting you to work on time, driving your kids to school, or going out and seeing the world. That's why I go the extra mile for my customers, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies.
Miller is back deep to return along with Tyler Nullbuck. This one will be fielded at about the 20-yard line. Miller picks it up, and Miller flying for extra yards. He'll be brought down around the 40, so good starting field position for the Blue Devils coming up.
First and 10, McDonald.
And we really haven't seen too many games where McDonald was down going into the second half. Obviously, there was a Springfield game. They were down early. We know they can play with the lead, but here we'll see how they play trying to come from behind. Zajac on the carry. There is a flag in the backfield, so we'll see if that run from Zajac stands. And it's going to be a legal shift here on the Blue Devils, so that'll back them up. It's going to be 1st and 15 now. Blue Devils break the huddle. Pocket under center. And a run to Dimitrovic right here. Dimitrovic fighting for a few yards. And that'll get him back to about where the drive started. It'll be 2nd and 10, maybe 9. And 2nd and 8 actually gets a 7-yard gain on that one. Dimitrovic, like Zajac, very tough to bring down. And here's a pitch play now to Zajac to the left side. Zajac still on his feet and going to be brought down. Got a few of that one. It's going to bring up to like 3rd and 5. That was Anthony Vrabel bringing him down that time, the senior lineman. And there's a Lowville player that's injured out there. That's A.J. Belkey, but he's able to get up on his own power. It's like a lower body injury. And Lowville obviously doesn't want to lose him here in this one. Quarterback of their defense. Really stepped up here this year as a leader as a junior. So 3rd and 5 here, ball spot the 45. If you're just tuning in, 10:30 left to go here in the 3rd quarter. Second half just got started. Casey Miller has it, and Miller is going to get just enough for the first down.
Welcome back in, everybody. Ty Bartel, Mike Ackelson with the start of the second half here from Greenwood Chevrolet Stadium, home of the Falcons. Falcons and the Mayfield Wildcats here in this first-round playoff matchup. Locked up in a solid game here. 17-7 Falcons with a first-half lead. Defense, 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 the name of this game, Mike.
It absolutely has been, and Mayfield's only touchdown is from a scoop and score, 99 yards. Their offense has been turned away the one time that they got close, field goal attempt blocked. It's going to be interesting how this, what do you do here? And I said this earlier, if you're Mayfield, you're playing with house money at 5-5. You got nothing to lose. Roll the dice on some plays. Do some trick plays. They haven't yet.
As the kick from Calabrese angles and bounces to the back of the end zone, so bring it out to the 20 for the Falcons.
I was kind of hoping maybe a little onside kick there, but
Try
maybe
to
they
get
saw that it didn't work for Fitch, and Fitch was kind of smart on that. Did you see they had an extra guy up there?
They were waiting, yeah.
They were thinking, and if you're the Falcons offense here, this could be the hammer and just finish it right here.
These two teams only have one prior meeting, 2022 postseason. Falcons winners 56-27 here at Greenwood Chevrolet. a couple years ago against this Wildcats team. But these are two different teams featuring two very different squads. And defensively has been setting the tone both sides. And again, Mayfield, look at that, stopping DeAndre Richard on a first down run attempt to keep him to just a yard on the gain.
J.D. Sega in there with the tackle. He's got the lone touchdown for Mayfield with his scoop and score in the first half. But again, that Mayfield defense, they kind of know Fitch is running. And if you can see, when they first set up on defense, they will spread wide, but they're kind of sneaking those linebackers up to the line of scrimmage.
Kelleher with a receiver each way. Tight end as well in this set with Richard on his left hip. Kelleher takes the snap, fakes the handoff, quick fires it to the 25. Dodging tacklers that time was out to Hira Luano before finally going down close to a first down marker. He's going to be shy about 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah, nice play out there by the Wildcats defense. There was one guy left to make that play, and he absolutely got the job done. So that was Murchison who makes the tackle and keeps that from being a big gainer.
We've seen a lot of Wildcats make good open field tackles today to stop what could be really devastating plays against them and keep them to manageable tonight. Falcons put one into motion, and this might be a false start. Let's see. Likely it on the motion. I think they had two motioning at the same time, and you can't have that. And it was on Ciccarelli. Only one can motion at a time on offense, too. They had the double motion there, so that'll back them up.
Well, if you're Mayfield, this is a big play here. This is what you needed, was to kind of come out, shut the offense down. But Fitch looking to extend this drive and get things motoring back their way.
I got 3 receivers out on this set. Kelleher takes the snap, looks to feed it, running that little wheel route and tackled down behind the chains, and Mayfield with a big stop brings up 4th down. And you got to feel like if you're the Wildcats, that is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, if you think about it the way the first half went, Fitch never punted. So this will be their first punt of the game. And if you're Mayfield, you could be looking at pretty good field position here to start the second half and try and chip away at that 10-point deficit.
And it's that man, J.D. Sega. He's a gamer for sure. And he's got the scoop and score touchdown already. He's already seen the end zone. It's a guy you don't want to have the ball in open field, and they're going to potentially give it to him here. Unless they try to angle it out of bounds. They're going to give him the chance.
Nice high punt.
And they're going to call fair catch, and that's why you have someone like Anthony Ruggles taking those kicks too. Kicker, punter that really, like we said, takes that special teams play out of the game too, and he does it with a nice high punt there and evades the return.
Well, we're thinking Sega might want to get that return there, but boy, I'll give Fitch's cover on that punt kudos there because they were down there. If he doesn't fair catch that, he was going to get planted. So
ready on the tackle were the Falcons. But you still got solid field position here if you're the Wildcats, sitting at your own 34-yard line. Not the best starting field position they've had today, but it's still solid nonetheless. It's just completing a drive. They've had drives that have threatened. They've had drives end up in Falcon territory. They haven't been able to complete a drive. Try to get it to Reed on the jet sweep. Beautiful tackle. Rodgers in the backfield.
That is not how you want to drew up that first play coming out there. And I think they were trying to catch Fitch off guard because predominantly they've been putting most of the balls in the air, and Rodgers just literally sheds his blocker and says, let's take you down for a loss here.
Open lane to a tackle, and Reed felt that one. Call it a 4-yard loss on the play, it looks like.
And I know we give the Falcon linebackers a lot of credit, but that front 3, however many they're playing on a particular down, really have been wreaking havoc.
I feel like we've been saying that young man DeMar Rogers' name a ton here tonight as A.J. Rogers fakes the run, tries to get rid of it on the pass after rolling out. Incomplete there, and it's 3rd down.
Good coverage by the Fitch DBs on there. Rogers scrambled, bought a little bit of time, but even when he put that one up, their receivers were well covered.
This has been a common theme tonight for the Wildcats, facing 3rd and longs, and they got another one set up here at 3rd and 14.
Yeah, it's tough when you're playing from behind the sticks all night. And if you're Fitch, you know what they're going to do here. And I wouldn't be surprised, yes, they're only showing 3 down linemen at this point, but I would bet you a couple linebackers are coming on this one.
Fitch's secondary is bent in certain scenarios today, but they have not broken at all. A.J. Rogers going to put it in the air, trying to get it out deep, and got it to where only his man could get it, but it was still a little strong, intended for Jacob Reed. They were getting that connection a little bit in that second quarter, him and Jacob Reed.
Yeah.
Tried to find it again. Nothing doing there, though.
Well, and here's the funny thing. That was the first time they threw down the middle of the field. They've been all to the outside most of this game, so they're respecting the secondary play of Fitch, so the 2 safeties they know can really get a job. And one, they're either going to pick it or they're going to smack you. So
try to protect your receivers, too,
a little bit
from all that contact. Brady Evans back ready to receive the punt. It'll take a friendly bounce for the Wildcats and keep on rolling. Nice punt for Mayfield. Pin it back behind the Falcon 40 to the 37, it looks like, for Fitch.
It's a good field position for Fitch to start their second drive of the half. All right, so got the kinks out. Maybe you tightened up a little bit. Now you're loose and ready to go. So far, it's been a defensive struggle, and quite honestly, both defenses have played well. It's just, Fitch hasn't been able to just find that right thing. They've hit a couple big plays, but they need a couple more right now.
Run and trips to the right. Single tailback on the right hip of Kaler. Go to Evans on the screen. Evans looking for the open field. Finds it to the 50. First down into Wildcat territory.
I really like how he plays because he could have tried to outrun his own blocker, but he let the block set up, and that gets him an additional 8 yards on that play because he would have been tackled easily short of midfield, but he let the block develop, and his blocker actually kind of took out one, but hinged the second guy from getting through real quick.
He got trips to the left, single receiver, down close to the right. Falcons on the near hash mark, out of the shotgun. Kaler will go to the ground with DeAndre Richard. First down run. Seems like it's too easy when he gets into his motion.
He just looks like a giant out there compared to everybody else. I mean, he just gets those legs chugging and churning, and he's hard to bring down.
We got a holding call that erases that. So he got the nice gain. Now we know why.
Well, the tough thing, I think the holding call's actually away from the play. I think it was on the other side of the play, Ty.
You don't even. That's the one you don't want to have, too.
Like,
you can't have.
You don't want to be at film tomorrow going, "Why were you holding there?" The play's going away from you.
So it stays first down, but now you got a lot of work. 1st and 20 now. Trips stay to the right. Falcons now on the far hash mark. Stand in the pocket, Kaler finds the moving target on a strike to Porch, and Porch plants himself in good field position across the 45 for Mayfield, just shy of their 40 at the 42.
That's a really nice play down up there. Second, 1st and 20. Well, how about an 18-yard gain? I mean, that is perfect. Sets things up really nice for Fitch coming out on their second down.
Isaiah Porch, too, sophomore wide receiver, getting his name mentioned on a nice catch there. 2nd and manageable. Go to the screen. Evans has it, and a flag came flying in. Man, he threw that flag.
Yeah.
He came from the back. He got that all the way into the play.
He launched it.
Wanted to make sure you knew there was a flag on the play. Might be another hold.
Yeah, it is. He signaled that.
So back him up. Again, second holding call of this drive, and Mayfield's defense already playing solid. You don't want to give them all these extra yards in the penalty game.
No, and that's the thing. Eventually that will bite you if you keep doing that. And those are the little things you can correct very easily. And moving forward, you can't have these once you move along the playoff trail.
6:20 left in the third quarter. Falcons lead it by 10. Quick pass off the hands of Evans, and that's not the first dangerous pass we've seen tonight. And Mayfield is just licking their chops. You got to feel like saying, all right, give us one more of those and we won't miss on the next one.
Yeah, and I think Evans would like to have that one back because he got his hands around it. It just tipped off of it. That could have been a big play if he hauls it down. But maybe him tipping it is what also prevented it from being an interception.
Yeah. You're always worried about those tip balls, though, if you're an offensive player. You don't want to give the defense a chance on a ball that has lost all its steam to try to get it.
Yeah, that's the Chicago Bears.
On third down, Kaler, a big drop back on the pass. Tried to fire it in between two defenders, two Evans, and misfires there. Not a horrible location to throw it. It was only somewhere Evans could get it, and he tried to feed it between two defenders. But credit that Mayfield defense. They got some holding calls to help them out, but they stood tall. And the second stop that they forced in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, so far their defense is playing well. They just need something out of their offense.
We said it was going to be a defensive game, and it has been to this point. No scoring yet. Here in the second half, all of that reserved in the first. Punt coming from Ruggles. He'll put it high and deep in the air. Takes a friendly Wildcat bounce forward a couple yards and out of play near the 16, 17-yard line, I believe. 13-yard line, rather. So back him up a little bit further. So, I mean, that's exactly what you get with Anthony Ruggles, too, and he's been doing his job. Touchbacks and punting game, and he'll pin him back and force him to have a big field in front of him, 87 yards.
Right now I feel like T.J. Parker is just playing the field advantage. You know, let's start to chip away, pin him further back.
Yeah, I think the ideas of a potential running clock or having a multiple score lead are kind of out the window. You kind of want to play with the lead, play the clock a little bit here, and make sure you ensure you have a win this week and you have a week 12 to play for.
Yeah, you definitely want to move on to week 12, and we'll see what the defense dials up.
Couple of tosses. Oh, Falcon defense right there, swarming, gets rid of it, did Rogers, and it's incomplete. Intended target was Reed.
And there was the first time a little trickery, an inside, back, and there was just too many handoffs, and you're pretty deep. That could have been really disastrous for the Wildcats. Fitch's defense kind of brought the pressure, and Rogers just had nowhere to go with it, and he's lucky it got back to the line of scrimmage.
So now you're 2nd and 10 if you're the Wildcats. One of the worst field positions you've started with today in an offense that's been struggling. 5:55 to go, third quarter of play, one into motion. They'll hand it off, go the other way to the opposite side from the outside, stopped at the 15-16 on the tackle. Third down now. Might have been Higgs on the tackle.
Yeah, Junie Higgs come up there and made a really nice stick. Again, he sheds his blocker, and what could have been a potential big play for the Wildcats is kept down to about a 3-4 yard gain.
They got 4 yards on that play. It's 3rd and 6. And for Mayfield, trying to avoid having 2 straight punts to start this third quarter of play. Spread it out. 3 to the left, 1 to the right. Fake the handoff, go play action. Pressured immediately as Rogers trying to get rid of it. Double pumps it and throws it to the Falcons sideline. Incomplete. It's 4th down.
Wow, good defense there. Heavy pressure again. And I like what Fitch does with their defense. They don't show you who's coming right away. Their blitzes are about a half-second delay off the snap. And when they come, it's like they've got that free lane. And guys are trying to chip them late. And Rogers is lucky. That's twice on that when he could have been sacked very easily.
So the Wildcats will look to punt. They're sitting at their own 5-yard line. Kick is away. He'll take a friendly Wildcat bounce at the 40 and tail out of bounds near the Wildcat 45, it looks like, is where they're going to stop it.
Great field position for Fitch here. And like I said, you know, from a field position standpoint, Parker was looking to flip that. little by little, you can see they're gaining ground here. Now you just got to put together a drive. And like you said, you want to give them the ball on your side of the field, you're playing with disaster.
And right now, you look at the last 4 Falcon drives, punt, before halftime, blocked field goal, made field goal. So they have 3 points to show in their last 4 drives. This Mayfield defense has been locked down. Feels like if you score a touchdown here, you reestablish that momentum and you see a pathway to victory then.
Yeah.
But you really need a score here, and you really feel like you need the end zone here if you're Fitch, especially with the short field. Find Brady Evans. Brady Evans will uncork it. Trick play downfield, and it's hauled in, and it's a touchdown. Altahir Iluano, the receiving touchdown. Brady Evans on the flea flicker, and he finds him deep.
Oh, my. What a play. And it's one that I really wasn't expecting T.J. Parker to pull out of his bag of tricks this week, but Evans with a beautiful pass as he hits Isaiah Porch. Perfect play on that one. Wow, and just like that, you said Fitch needed a score. Well, they got the score. They did it pretty quick. I think it took all of 8 seconds.
Yeah, you mentioned, too, Isaiah Porch. Good call on that, too. He is the one that came down with the touchdown, and that is his 3rd reception, I believe, tonight. And you look at this young man, too, that hasn't gotten a whole lot of targets throughout the regular season. They go to him there in a big play, and that might be the biggest play of this game. As Ruggles converts the extra point. It's 24-7 Falcons.
Yeah, that's exactly what Fitch needed. Kind of gets that offense feeling good about themselves again. And now if you're thinking about it, Fitch's defense, you've had 2 great series here to start the second half. You want to do a third one because now you can really start to put the clamps on the Wildcats.
Like we mentioned, the way the last few drives were going for the Falcons offensively, they were really struggling to get anything going. And they find it. Isaiah Porch, though, shout out this young man, a sophomore wide receiver, that is really making you know his name tonight as he comes up with a big touchdown catch. 3rd offensive touchdown of the game for the Falcons, and that one puts them up by their largest lead of the night, a 17-point advantage now.
Yeah, I mean, did you see that play coming? Because I didn't. I thought they're going to kind of grind here a little bit, take some time off the clock, but you know what? There's something that the staff from Fitch, give the offensive coordinator credit, give any coach that saw something, they're able to make an adjustment, make the call. And maybe it's the plays they were running to Evans, as he was coming around there. They set everything up, and that let Porch get way behind the defense. And he had actually, and I give him credit, as a young receiver, he turned around and did not outrun the ball. He came back a little bit, and he still had enough momentum to get into the end zone.
And it's tough to come back to the ball when you see 2 defenders charging you full force.
And they're coming, but Porch made a beautiful play on that one. So kudos all around. That play worked.
And I've seen the Falcons run a play like that similar, but really what you credit to is all the screen passes they were going to Evans in the drives previous to kind of lulled them to sleep. They thought it was another run-of-the-mill screen pass, and Evans said, no, I got a cannon on my arm as well.
And what this does for Fitch, being that, we're roughly about just under 17 minutes away from advancing to Week 12. Now, when teams look at this game field, they're going to know that Fitch isn't afraid to pull something out. So they've got to play a lot of things very honest.
Keep a lot of things in the back of your mind when you're playing the Falcon offense. And it's an offense that we said has averaged 29 points per game. So they're not an offense that will blow you out of the water. They got to get creative sometimes to score points, but they are an offense that can provide points. They're not struggling to the levels we've seen the Wildcats struggle this season. But it's one of those, we've talked about it beforehand, where what kind of Fitch offense do you see night to night, too? And especially in these last 5 weeks, Falcons are 2-3. We've been kind of getting a different offense every week from the Falcons the last 5.
Yeah, and, you look at what the defense does on the first play, and Mayfield's trying to just do anything they can to keep the Falcons from pinning their ears back. Well, you try to run the ball, and I think that's a very genuine spot because it looked like he got tackled behind the line of scrimmage.
A.J. Rogers rolls to his right, trying to fire it over the top of the defense, and it looks like he got the completion.
That's probably Reed again, back shoulder again.
Down to that 35, and that's been the moneymaker receiver today for them, as the older senior receiver, Jacob Reed, connected with him a couple times in the first half.
Yeah, so they've made that play work. It's just they haven't been able to do anything off of that play, and I give Fitch's defensive backs a lot of credit. They are sticking with these receivers like they're glue.
And they've had to put in a lot of work tonight. Mayfield's been pass heavy. They'll put it on the ground here, though, and another run that goes about 4 yards. It's pretty much been about the best runs we've seen from the Wildcats. Falcons saying they have it, but not the case. Second down and about 5 going here for Mayfield.
Yeah, and that's, again, if you're Mayfield, that's a good play, but things are starting to really work against you. You're down 24-7, and you're huddling where they weren't earlier. They were going up to the line and making a quick call, but you're running the ball, and it's just eating up time off the clock.
And it feels like if you're not getting a touchdown here, like it's all for naught. That run does go for about 3 to 4, though.
Sets up 3rd and short. I mean, it's what maybe they need. Just they're trying to collect their breath again right now. But I'm a little surprised here because if they can get a quick score in their defense again, yes, they've given up a couple big plays for touchdowns. Their defense, for the most part, has been pretty sound. So you maybe want to get them back out there and they can shake that one off.
2 receivers to the left. You just can't afford to put long drives together, though, as a flag comes in.
I thought their staff was going to call a timeout. I was watching the play clock dwindle there, but they did not.
And a delay of game. That's the one you really hate to take because that one's on all fronts where it could have been prevented.
Well, and this is the tough thing on Mayfield when you look back at this game. That's now their 4th, possibly 5th penalty on 3rd down that has either gave Fitch a free 5 yards or now moved your offense back. Like, those are penalties that are just going to end up killing you.
Mayfield, easily the more penalized team tonight, and that'll be, an interception that was in and out of the hands of Wayne Holloway. As Mr. Holloway wants that one back so bad. He was seeing 6 ahead of him.
He had reservations, and he forgot the one thing that he needed, the pigskin. Wow. He made a nice jump on that ball. I mean, he really came in there, and I'm thinking, I'm like you. I'm like, be quiet while Ty calls this because this could be a pick 6.
He had reservations but forgot the check, so no table there for him in the end zone. But it's 4th down now for the Falcons and for the Wildcats, rather, and they're going to keep the offense out there. On 4th and 5, looking to pass, Rogers tries the mismatch with Reed downfield and staying with him every step of the way. Travion Davis, the senior, locks down Lance Reed. It's a turnover on downs to Fitch.
Wow. I feel they were forced to go with it. I mean, they know what they're sitting in. Their offense has struggled, but you turn the ball over at your 39-yard line, and all of a sudden, Fitch can literally put this game on ice here real quick.
You look at the fact that you only need 2 scores now, 2 touchdowns to get running clock here, and running clock means wins in high school playoffs. So
yeah.
You're figuring I wouldn't be surprised if they're taking a shot here, especially early on, 39-yard line of Mayfield. 1 receiver each way. Add some extra blockers. They're going to give it up that time as Mahone gets the carry, and Christian Mahone gets about 5 on the carry.
Good pickup again on 1st down. And I like the way the Fitch backs, and all of them do this. They take that handoff, and then they just pause or hesitate for just a brief second, and they're able to pick their hole. I mean, kudos to the big guys up front because they are blowing open some holes.
Both Trenton Ciccarelli and then you got guys like Booker Newberry that are both really big names for this team. Rolling out to the right, firing the pass out to that man Porch again, and the ball went loose and jumping on it again. That is the second time Brady Evans has been on top of a ball. The first one wasn't a fumble. That one was.
That absolutely was.
And he was
loose.
on top of it. You got to love it, a player. And then we talked about Tyler Evans playing for West Virginia, too, as a receiver. So that Evans name runs deep as far as the receiver traits go. But that's what they bring to the table, too. Just an aware football player, always conscious of what's happening.
Well, I like what he did on the play. Yes, it wasn't to him. As soon as the pass was made and he saw the defenders going there, he got on his horse and made sure he was in, and that put him in the right spot when the ball did pop loose.
They put Evans into motion, give it to him. Evans on the jet sweep, staying on his feet, trying to evade tacklers, but there's the wave of Wildcat rushers to bring him down. Likely going to be the last play here of the third quarter, as we'll run down into the final seconds and take this one to the fourth. 12 minutes left to go in this playoff game as the Austintown Fitch Falcons up over the Mayfield Wildcats 24-7. Ty Bartell, Mike Ackelson, we're back after this. As we start here for the fourth quarter, it's the Falcons' ball, second down. They're inside the red zone of the Wildcats. Kayla looks to pass over the middle, finds the target across the center, and it's a first down, Fitch. That was number 14 that time for the Falcons, and Elliot Giles Jr.
Nice catch. He was getting hit, made the catch, still twists ahead, gets a couple more yards, sets up first and goal, and the Falcons doing exactly what they want to do here, put this one to bed.
First and goal, Fitch knocking on the door. They'll give it off to Mahone. Mahone shy of the mark, but he'll get close. Nice gain. Bring him down to the 1 yard line. They're knocking on the door.
Mayfield's defense has been scrappy all night, but when Fitch needs that hole, they're getting it, and it's fun to watch this offensive line. If you're an offensive lineman right now for the Falcons, you absolutely have to love hearing any run play called.
And Warren Harding as Falcons go with the push play, and they'll get it in for the touchdown. And coming up with it, I believe that was Mahone, as Christian Mahone gets the 1 yard touchdown run, and he'll make this a 30-7 game.
Wow. Exactly what they wanted to do. 10:54 left on the clock. And just like that, Fitch has blown this game open here in the second half. After a slow start, the offense has really kicked it back into gear.
And you mentioned, too, that we were looking at Warren Harding up big on Cleveland John Hay, 37-0. So we are in the makings of round 3 of Warren Harding and Fitch in the playoffs since the expansion has started. Team is 1-1 against each other. They each have a win on each other in the playoffs. Fitch, all-time in the series, is 19-18 against Harding. It's as even can get between these two teams, it feels like. It's always a good game. It was a good game in Week 10 of the regular season, and we might be in for another one in just 1 week's due time.
If things hold out, and pretty sure both teams are not kind of watching their phones or anything like that, but this could be the makings of a very great game here next week.
And, I mean, obviously, if you're a Harding, do you want the Falcons again? Do you want the Falcons at home again after you beat them there just a week ago?
Well, knowing Matty Richardson, yes, he does.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, there's a Trumbull County Warren native guy who is all about it, and he's done a great job in his first year at Warren Harding. TJ Parker is probably not going to come out and say it, but I would think behind the scenes he's licking his chops to prove that what happened here a week ago isn't the way his Falcons are going to play the second time around.
It's the big school of Mahoning County versus the big school of Trumbull County, and it's always a good battle between those two. And For the third time in the last 5 years, we will get a second matchup between Warren Harding and Fitch. It looks like, barring a complete meltdown here by the Falcons.
It appears.
It
appears. Two trains are on the same track.
If we're on that whatever, the line graph that shows our percentage probability, we're probably in the mid to high 80s now that's happening next week. But really got to credit this Mayfield team, though, because you take away the 2 scores that the Falcons have had in the last few minutes. They've been competitive. It's been a defense that has shown that they can compete with some of the best offenses, though. It's just, like we said, that was going to be the glaring thing going into this is can Mayfield's offense score any points? And right now they've accounted for nothing on the scoreboard.
No, they haven't. And they've only been over midfield one time. So you look at that, and that resulted in a blocked field goal. I think the other thing to look at, too, is the Fitch defense definitely deserves their kudos here because technically they have pitched a shutout.
They have. Yeah, the scoop and score by J.D. Siga, the lone score for the Wildcats, and that came as a defensive score for them. As the Fitch defense doing work like we expected them to. They've averaged 19 points against them all season long, and it usually spells success if you're holding teams to 20 and under. You're usually giving yourself a good chance to win a lot of football games.
You know, I'm not sure what the yardage totals, but I'm going to guess Mayfield might not even be over 100 yards yet.
It very well could be that, too.
And I know any coach would take that, especially in the postseason.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I mean, the Falcons on the ground game, they've been able to really set the tone there. I think the Falcons have more rushing yards than the Wildcats might have total yards, too, honestly, right now. And it might just be, if you look at just DeAndre's stats, too, tonight, he's having a great game. Wildcats will pick up the first down here. Get it off of the ground game.
And right now, if you're TJ Parker, you don't care if they get a couple first downs because they're chewing up clock.
If they want to do it, while putting it on the ground, too, you let them, You give them those 3-4 yard gains. If they want 3 yards in a cloud of dust, they're going to try to go big shot here on the intended target to Jacob Reed, but too strong for him on the attempt. And completion stops the clock.
I can tell they really like Reed on the outside, but again, throughout 3 quarters and 2 minutes, Mayfield has only thrown down the middle of the field one time. So the safety play, they must be aware of something, and they know that somebody can make a big play for Fitch up the middle of the field.
Wildcats go to the run game. Nothing to be had there. They can't really break the line of scrimmage at all. It's 3rd down and 10.
So, again, a whole host of Falcons just, hey, let's meet at the ball. We'll have fun. And so they've done exactly what they want to do. And
that horizontal movement has been really nice with the Falcon defense. And that's why we've the longest run we've seen from Mayfield is, I would say, 5, maybe 6 yards tonight. But it's that horizontal movement. They don't really let you get more than they give.
Well, and they're not letting any lineman who's pulling or receiver coming in. The linebackers seem to be free on their shots all the time.
In and out of the hands on the 3rd down.
Great play over there.
Nice defense that time. Again, knocking it out on the perfectly timed hit, 4th and 10. It looks like Devanzo Tate, number 0, that was on the play too. Tate started some games at quarterback in the first half of the season, but really where his talent shines is on the defensive side of the field on the secondary.
And that's a name that goes way back here. There's been a lot of Tates to come through Austintown and play.
He's the 3rd one in that lineage of families too. And the Devanzo Tates unsportsmanlike conduct on Mayfield, and perhaps the frustration starting to show a little bit from the Wildcats side of things.
I think the Wildcats do realize in 8:53 this could be it. And they've had no answer for Fitch's offense, and from an offensive standpoint, they've had very to little of anything go right for them.
So they're going to punt it away. Brady Evans standing right on the midfield stripe at the 50. The punt will take a bounce It'll go over the head of Evans, and he'll take it near the 45, evading tackler, staying on his feet, dodging a couple, splitting 2 more, and trying to get back to where he was originally standing. He'll get close. Kudos to Evans for making something happen out of that after
You
it
want to
bounced
talk
over his
about
head.
making something out of nothing.
He got every yard, every inch that he could get out of that.
Yeah. Now what I want to see is, because the game's pretty well in hand, does Fitch try to get some younger players involved here just to get them a little taste of what the postseason is like?
Could be beneficial for you, too. And, I mean, they're already a pretty young team as it is, but, I mean, the more the merrier as far as I could say is any guy that could have experience where you won't have maybe the butterflies as much in the next game, that's always helpful. Falcons send 2 to the left, 1 to the right receiver-wise. Another score opens up the running clock game for Fitch. If it is a touchdown, they'll put it on the ground. Get it?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Ty, how much they're going to want to put the ball up in the air, because right now the clock's running and it's their friend as it ticks down. It is Mayfield's enemy, so if I'm Fitch, I'm taking every second of the play clock that I'm allotted. I'm snapping that ball around 2 seconds left on it, maybe 1, and just trying to move the sticks here. Couple first downs and pretty much
You get salted away, too. If you end it with a touchdown, it is over then, too. You'll have the running clock and victory well in hand, and they'll keep it on the ground, get another solid gain. And Mahoning getting his fair share of carries here in the second half.
he is getting the absolute tough yards up through that middle, and he's getting through the initial line, but boy, what he meets after that, he is just twisting and turning and moving and just trying to get every inch out of that play that he can.
3rd and 2. Falcons got someone to jump. Another encroachment penalty on the Wildcats.
That's got to be their 5th one.
I think it's the 5th, of just encroachment tonight, and everyone has felt costly to them, too. This one's going to give the Falcons a free first down on 3rd and 2 as well. And for Mayfield, 3rd and 2 isn't out of the realm of something their defense can stop. We've seen them do it earlier tonight. As back to Mahoning. He was trying to run to the right, saw the cavalry coming in at him, and then had to pump the brakes.
There was a pack of Wildcats waiting for him that time. A little angry Wildcats on that one, but they sniffed that play out. They knew what was coming, and I think Mayfield pretty much knows right now Fitch is content to just grind us out on the ground here as the clock's now under 6:50.
Falcons took a little bit to get going on offense, but more or less it just feels like the penalty game and then the lack thereof of offense of Mayfield finally started catching up to them here in the second half as the Falcons get a good gain on the second down catch and run to get 3rd and short set up for them now, close to that Mayfield 30-yard line.
Yeah, just a little bubble screen out there is all they run on that play, and it got them some really good yardage. And I know people will look at me like, why is he going for it on 4th down? Well, he's got 2 downs to move the sticks again, and that's really all T.J. Parker's looking for his offense to do.
He's content. If we turn it over on downs, you can get it at your 30.
Yeah.
We're up by 24. We're okay with that. Put the ball back on the ground, looking for the first. Looks like they have it as Mahoning falls forward for the extra yard needed. And fresh set of downs inside the Mayfield 30.
Yeah, Mahoning's running really tough here in the second half, and that's the big thing because DeAndre Richard did all the damage in the first half. He had a couple nice runs in the third quarter when they started to put this game away. I wouldn't let him back out on the field.
I think Coach Parker's more than content knowing I got Richard for next week against Harding. We got this one well in hand, and he doesn't have to touch the ball really at all here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I mean, you're just going to line up, and again, if you look, the play clock already down to 5 seconds.
They'll go back to the handoff. Nice job on the delay and pushing forward the tacklers, and give me those extra yards. Did Mahoning.
I want to give a lot of credit.
Check that 28 actually on the carry, rather. That was Joey Janis.
And a lot of credit to Booker Newberry and his other line mates out there. Jaden Lumsden. These guys are just playing a whale of a game up front.
Moving big bodies, creating holes for the offense, and look at that, just swimming through the middle of the line for a first.
This is a perfect way to absolutely end this game for Fitch. You want to grind things out. You just want to eat time off the clock. They're either going to score or turn it over deep in Wildcat territory. So the goal's accomplished. You've pinned their offense back that's only been over midfield one time this game.
Falcons, one receiver each way. Kaler takes the snap. They hand it off. Nice gain down to the 10 inside of it. Not a first down, but it's close to it. Second and short.
Exactly what you want as you're the Falcons. This is just mano a mano. Mayfield, stop us now. We know your defense is good, but we think our offense is better. And they're just – I think it's a war of attrition is the way to look at this, because Fitch's offensive line has just wore down the Mayfield defense. They've absolutely won this war in the trenches.
Who do you give advantage to next week? I mean, I know Warren Harding's pretty much been up on John Hay right out of the gates. Falcons had to fight a little bit in this one. Whose experience in Week 11 helps them better in Week 12 between Harding and Fitch?
Having to look at that, I mean, I think it's always tough to beat a team in high school for the second time in one season unless you're significantly better. If you look at Fitch and Harding, they're pretty close, and I think Fitch has a lot of motivation to play for. They turned the ball over when they played him the last week. So if they can correct the little mistakes, I'm not saying that guarantees a win, but what I'm saying is that puts you in a ball game and gives you a chance to win, and any coach will take that in the postseason.
You got to feel like it's beneficial to the Falcons had that scoop and score against them, that defensive play that Mayfield had, and they were able to respond to that adversity from earlier in the game. And they've been facing adversity with this very tough Mayfield defense. And I mean, like I said, if there's one team, if there's one advantage, I guess you could say, in this matchup and the Warren Harding-John Hay matchup, is that the Falcons had to play a little bit better at defense this week than maybe the Raiders did. They had to earn their offense a little bit more, and you know you're going to have to earn it against the Raiders next week.
Well, and that's the thing. If you look up at the Harding game, the last time we checked it, it would be a running clock. So going to guarantee most of the starters are out. I think as you get later in this season, you need to play a whole game. So
rest versus rust debate, right?
Yeah.
That old debate. High snap, it's on the ground, and the Falcons going to turn it over on downs, but they bled most of that clock out, leaving 2:06 for the Wildcats.
Yeah, they took almost 7 minutes off that clock, or 6 minutes, excuse me, but that was the drive. And I almost think at the end TJ said, we're going to call off the dogs. We're not going to put another one in. We don't need another one. This isn't, you have to win by X amount of points in order to advance. So his offense, they did the job that they needed to. They had good production in the first half. Slow start to the second half. I think he'd like to rectify that. Take away some of these penalties. This would have been pretty near a perfect game for Fitch tonight.
Call it the final farewell drive here for the Mayfield seniors, as they'll get a chance to take the field one last time with 2:06 to go in this ball game. They'll go to that ground game. Falcons stop it after a gain of about 3. And flags coming in after the fact.
Lots of them.
Everyone.
I think they just tossed somebody too.
Not what you want to see in the final couple minutes of the game, but
I think it's going to be on Max Thurman. He was the guy who got to the sidelines. Okay, so that they didn't toss him, but boy, it looked like they did the way he was told to get off the field.
Flags came flying, and a 15-yard penalty on the Wildcats.
And I'm sure if you're Mayfield, you're frustrated. You wanted to prove that you belonged here, but I think Fitch was the better team. And not saying that to make anybody that's listening from Mayfield upset or anything like that. I think Fitch just really showed why they won 7 games this season.
It's not to say this Wildcat team can't beat this Falcon team on their good day, but I feel like that's one of those, if you run this matchup maybe 100 times, Mayfield only wins 2 or 3 out of those 100 times back.
Yeah, right now. I mean, these same kids, it just.
But like we said, from first time around, it was a 56-27 game 2 years ago when these two teams first met. So, I mean, if there's one thing, I mean, Mayfield was 5-5 then. They were 5-5 now. I mean, 2 completely different teams. But if there's one thing you could take away from Mayfield is that you're still getting to that playoff scene too. And 5-5 records, that's a great start too. It's where you want to be in your program too. And to say you were there 2 years ago to right now, you're still making the playoffs. You're still playing 500 football. That's a good foundation to start on.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to build on everything that you can. And
Rodgers rolls out, looking for the pass in and out of the hands again. A potential interception that was not meant to be. It looked like that was Brylan Houston.
Yes.
That had it in and out of his hands.
You know right now he's just going, oh.
49 seconds remain in this one. 4th down on the Wildcats. Limited number of plays left.
And TJ's right now saying, that's okay. I don't need another score.
The kick, or the pass rather, is away, and it was it incomplete? No,
incomplete.
It was a heck of an attempt, though, on the catch by Jacob Reed, yeah.
I'm impressed with him. He's a nice little ball player. Fitch takes over at the 17. Just a couple knees and we're done.
Yeah, honestly, for the Falcons here. And you mentioned it. The defense did its job. Pretty much pitched the shutout, the offense. Albeit it took them a little bit of time to get the motors running. But the one thing was DeAndre Richard was the constant for them, and that's going to be their biggest thing is if he can establish that running game early or help establish the running game early. And it's not just him, it's him paired with that Fitch offensive line. It really does a lot of heavy lifting for that Falcon offense in the second half, too,
yeah,
when you
absolutely.
have to be aware of the running game.
Yeah.
Falcons will take the knee, and that should do it, as I believe the play clock is a second above the game clock. So that should be our last play of the game. So the Falcons get a home playoff game, and they do their job against the 13th seeded Mayfield Wildcats by a score of 31-7. And Mike, it's official. For the 3rd time in the last 5 years, the Warren Harding Raiders and the Austintown Fitch Falcons will meet in a playoff matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Book it. Raiders and Falcons next week, right back here. Should be a whale of a ball game. And like I said, a few moments ago, if you're Fitch, you just got to clean some things up from that first game. I'm not saying it guarantees you a win, but boy, it puts you in a good position to come away with a win. If you're the Raiders, you can't take the approach that, hey, we already beat them once. This game's in the bag. Oh, we're glad to be, you got to come here and take care of business if you're them. So, and you can't beat it. It's, like you said, the big school of Trumbull County, the big school of Mahoning County. They're going to dice it all out. And as the clock has hit 0 here, so the final is 31-7. And kudos to Fitch. I think they came here very businesslike tonight. Handled what they needed to do, took care of the ball on offense. No, one turnover down at the goal line led to Mayfield's only touchdown. From a defensive standpoint, I would like to see what the total yardage is for Mayfield because it's going to be maybe just under 100 or just over 100 yards. But they did not find the end zone. So, Fitch, just kudos to them. This is a good way to start the postseason.
3rd time that they will meet the Raiders in the playoffs, like we said. They met in 2020. Raiders were winners 24-10 then. They met in 2021 in the postseason. The Falcons were winners 35-28 in that one. So it's been a close game in both of those. It's always a close game between both of those schools. And guess what? You'll have it here on the network. Ty Bartell